Right, good afternoon everybody, thank you very much for joining me, and as always with these live streams, please let me know in the chat if you can hear me and you can see me okay. And we're taking a look today at Wolves on the Westwind, which is a computer game that the publisher contacted me a month or so ago actually. They reached out to me and they gave me a rough description of the game, and I thought, oh, that looks interesting. And then I got COVID, and then all sorts of things happened. So I'm covering this later than planned. Now, the game does have music which I've just turned on in the background, so please let me know if the music for the computer game is a bit too loud. It is a little loud in my ear, so I'm just going to turn it and down a little bit, but what you hear is different from what I'm hearing, so let me know about the balance between my audio and the computer game audio, and we're going to jump in. Now, this is advertised as a first look. I haven't, apart from installing the game, I haven't actually looked at it at all yet. So although it says continue game at the top, I literally just loaded it to make sure it worked. Music is very quiet. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it up from your side of things. So hopefully that's a bit louder. But for me, it's really loud in my ear. Okay, let's jump in. And let's click new game and we'll see what this is about. As I say, they approached me about a month ago and said that this is some kind of narrative, story-based, choose-your-own-adventure style game, but we will see. It is available. It's on Steam right now. Full disclosure, this is not a sponsored video. I did get offered a Steam key for the game, so I haven't paid for the game. But yeah, purely funded through Patreon coverage. This. Let's see what it's like. Let's see. Okay, it's quite loud now. Let's turn it down a bit. There you go. It's tricky getting it right. And obviously the music has loud bits and quiet bits, so hopefully that's better. Well, it looks like we have a choice of character. Looks like we have a choice of two characters. We've got Alric, who has got 30 health, 18 endurance. We are Alric Duranold, a weathered mercenary from Andergast. We've got two abilities, Battle Sense and Powerful Blow, or we can play Nadimi, who's got 18 health and 30 astral points. She's Nadimi Saba. Right, I'm not going to take her because I can't pronounce her name. But we've got a mercenary fighter guy and we've got a mage character. So there's only two characters that you can choose in the game. We're going to play as Alric. And the music is now up. Act 1. Right, do we have any vocal narrative in the game? No, so it's down to me. Right, does this mean I'm going to have to do accents? I hope not. Right, so this is Alric. Get down. You hear the twang of a bowstring in enough time to throw the trader you're escorting into cover. He looks a bit shocked. He leaps behind a bush in a blind panic as you skitter around a nearby tree to keep watch. This road was supposed to be safe. I had it guaranteed. Okay, so we have some choices. Now, just as a reminder, top left I've got 30 health and 18 something else. I can't remember what that is. So we've got a choice of whether we say quiet, we need to ditch the car, or it's going to be fine. So we're jumping in straight into the action. Yes, Alric is definitely from Lancashire, and we're escorting this trader called Jozold. I'll say we need to ditch the cart. I don't know why we need to ditch the cart, but we'll say that. We'd escape much quicker if we weren't dragging the cart behind us. That's maybe true. Oh no, we've come this far. I am not throwing it all away now. Stupid trader. You contort yourself around to look behind the tree without giving the archers a target to hit. It's too dark to see them or their number clearly. You can hear them though, getting closer quickly. Oh, who's that? Eilisfell is close. Eilifsell is close. Probably a town or something. We should make a run for it. You know he's not wrong, but you also know that unless you do something now, that alone will not be enough. Ditch the carts or fend the bandits off. Let's try and fend the bandits off. As another arrow sails past, you growl and shake your head as you tighten your grip on your sword. You need to go, as quickly as you can. I'll fend them off. But, go, now. You pick him up by his collar and throw him back towards the road, where he scrambles to stay upright. He casts one desperate look towards you and the cart you now protect before he bolts away awkwardly. Okay, his arm does look weird. Yeah, it's coming out of his neck. He's kind of holding the sword like that. Another arrow flies past your face to pierce the cart's woodwork as you stand ready to protect it. Out of the shadows, you start to see the nearest of the bandits race towards you. I think we're going to have a fight. One has followed you directly and relentlessly down the path. The next appears from the verge, whirling an axe around as she goes. Right, just bear with us a minute. I've got something pinging me in the background. So I'm just going to turn that off. I thought I'd close down everything in the background. I'm just going to turn off all of my other windows. That will be that one. There we go. Continue. Oh, no. There's more pinging going on. Apologies for this. I thought I'd close down all of my other windows. And it turns out I haven't. Right, there we go. Hopefully I now have. So, Powerful Blow. This ability allows Alric to strike with an overwhelmingly strong blow to knock opponents back, take them by surprise, and to get through a variety of obstacles that might stand in his way. So the Powerful Blow is going to cost me 5 of those yellow things that I've got. Let's do that then. I mean, it's kind of hinting that that's what I should do. So let's do it. Thinking quickly, you focus all of your power into a kick at the cart's rear wheel that makes the wood creak and crack. You wait for the bandits to close in before kicking out again, so that the cart's axle buckles and gives way. One of the bandits shrieks in surprise as he's hit in the square in the head with a barrel. The second slows as another rolls towards her. The resulting confusion gives you enough of a chance to dodge away and escape. And so, you run. You can already see Jozold ahead, flailing around as he struggles to keep up any kind of pace. So focused are you on your escape that you don't even notice the town now clearly visible ahead. It's only when the first arrow sails past you in the other direction that you really focus on the palisade. People are now racing out of the town towards you, all well armed and well armoured. So we can join the fight or get Jozold to safety. Now presumably our job was to protect him, so I probably should get him to safety. And it looks like these two, they should be able to deal with the bandits. As the road between the palisade and the bandits becomes a hail of arrows, you see Jozold stumble and fall up ahead. He cowers there until you reach him, grab him in both hands and pull him back to his feet and drag him to safety. He splutters as you pull him through the throng of Thorwallian warriors that now stand ready for the fight to begin. You feel a great swell of relief as the cries start to ring out behind you and you can finally stop to breathe. The danger has passed. Against all the odds, you've actually made it to safety. It is not a long fight, and those who were chasing you are quickly routed by the town's defenders. They ask you many questions about the chase as they invite you into the town proper. There's going to be a lot of talking today, I can feel. And then you can finally rest a while, laying down your burdens until morning comes. So presumably this is one of those games with branching paths, and you could choose different characters, different options, and it will play out differently each time. I'm guessing, so that there's some replayability there. It's cold but bright sun that rises over the thatched roofs of Eilifsil? Yeah, that'll do. To greet you the next day. Even after years of training and experience, you still feel the aches and pains of your trials and tribulations. A gentle breeze tugs at your clothes and the smell of salt on the air helps to keep you sharp. And the town wakes up around you as though nothing had ever happened. People open up their shops and services for the day. Seagulls caw overhead. Caw, caw. Over the din, you hear that was me, by the way, not the sound effects of the game, just in case you didn't know. Over the din, you hear the blowing of bellows and the pounding of a hammer against steel as a blacksmith gets to work. Outlander. No sooner... No, it's a woman. Sounded like a man. No sooner have you stopped at a market stand of freshly baked loaves and buns do you hear her call. You immediately recognise her as one of the warriors who came to your rescue at the palisade. Amongst the rest of the townsfolk, she stands out in a dress much richer and brighter in colour. Estrid Ulfgarsdottir. We met briefly last night. Right, so we can say, good morning, the Hetman's daughter. Well, what can I do for you? We'll say the Hetman's daughter. Ah, you're the Hetman's daughter. That's right. I hope you slept well, given the circumstances of your arrival. Well enough. I'm used to shaking off ambushes like that. What can I do for you? Her brow furrows as she grimaces at you and becomes more serious. I'm afraid it's about the attack. My father wishes to speak to you about it. Come, you'll eat with us this morning. It's the least we can do. Except I didn't help. I ran away. Much to the complaining of your empty stomach, you're torn away from breakfast to follow Estrid. But aren't we going for breakfast? Yeah. She leads you further inland, jostling through the crowds as the town wakes up around you. I'll be honest with you, Outlander, this attack was quite troubling. We need to make sure nothing like that ever happens again, if we can. We have a reputation to uphold. What about patrols? It was supposed to be safe. They were just bandits. Let's say it was supposed to be safe, because Jozold said he was assured safe passage. Indeed, as I understood my contract, it was supposed to be a little more than a gesture of goodwill. The road was supposed to be safe. Her face falls, and for a moment she looks rather embarrassed before she composes herself again. It is true, that road should be safe. That is why we asked you to take it. My father wanted you to avoid the dangers of the sea, storms from the north, outlaws from the Allportstones. This attack has made us look like fools, and we won't stand for that. Estrid falls darkly quiet after that. It makes you slightly more uneasy as you continue up the gentle slope towards the Hetman's Hall. The fight had been over almost as soon as it had started. Many of your attackers had fled at the first sight of defending warriors. But those who had helped you had been quick to usher you away to a longhouse to rest and recover. They had seemed a little on edge, but you'd thought that was simply down to the surprise of the attack. Now it seems that something larger was at work, and that the Hetman wants to speak to you about it. And that the Hetman wants to speak to you about it is concerning. The noise of the town only swells as its bustling streets awaken. But as you climb upward, everything starts to feel just a little less cramped as the space between the buildings grow. Soon you are in a wide open square, and Estrid is beckoning towards you, beckoning you towards a great hall that stands ancient and resolute before you. She pushes the huge double door to the hall open without knocking or waiting. You're slightly taken aback by the sheer scale of the room you step into. Long benches flank the path to the Hetman's table, and huge chandeliers hang from the rafters. A handful of trophies are placed on the walls, a reminder of the triumph of those who have ruled in Eilifsel, that's it. Try and remember that. The air is stale and reeks of food, fire and sweat. No Oxford comma in there. They obviously don't use Oxford commas in Eilifsel. Father, I found our guest. Estrid leads you to the table that sits at the back of the hall, positioned so that those sat there can watch over everyone. The Hetman looks up from his conversation at his daughter's call and quickly stands up as you approach. Man with beard. He greets you warmly and heartily, with arms wide and a smile to match, bowing his head in your direction. Well met, Outlander. In Swafnir and Travia's names you are most welcome here. Thank you for joining us this morning. Please sit, take your fill of food and drink. A wide spread of meats, fish and breads covers the central square of the table in easy reach of the Hetman and his family. I'll say thank you, because I'm polite. Thank you, Hetman. It's a pleasure to be seated with you. Ulfgar waves a dismissive hand as your comment as you walk up the small set of stairs towards his table. It is only what's due, Outlander. Please sit. Come, we must get to business. This is Brand. He's the town's Godi, and he's been an advisor to the Het person for many decades now. Don't know what a Godi is. He indicates an older, near-decrepit man in a heavy bundle of robes who sits and eats at the end of the table. Brand gives you a long side glance that immediately unnerves you, but he says nothing and continues chewing. Without wasting another breath, the Hetman moves on to introduce the other, younger man at the table. I believe you met my youngest, Raskir. Raskir nods at you curtly as he throws a bite of bread into his mouth, then picks up a tankard to drink from. It's a bit early, isn't it? Once again, he seems to look you up and down before he leans across the table to give you a strong handshake. Thank you, again, for escorting the Nostrian trader to our town. I'm sorry it wasn't as simple as suggested. The whole thing is rather troubling. A shame about the car. It's worth more coin and you seem upset by this. I think we'll say you seem upset by this, because he does seem quite upset. Forgive my saying so, but you seem more upset. Oh, this is me. Forgive my saying so, but you seem more upset than this than I'd expect. Raskir chuckles before taking a sip from his tankard and reaching forward to rip a handful of bread from the loaf. Do you know what it means to be peaceless, Outlander? Nope. I don't know. To be peaceless is the worst punishment a Thorwalla could face. It is the punishment we give to those who have committed terrible, terrible crimes. They are ashamed to their ancestors, and they have been stripped of all honour that they had and can never have. They will never find peace with the gods. They will never fight at Swafnir's side or drink at Travia's table. That is why the peaceless are scorned and hide amongst themselves on Allportstones. For them to return in force to the mainland makes no sense. But if a group of them have, then they are a grave danger and we must deal with them. An uncomfortable silence falls on the hall while you process what Raskir has said. Out of it, it is the hetman that clears his throat to speak up, talking to you over his drink. I've called you here for your help, Outlander. You have already proven that you're a capable fighter by running away. You could be of great help to us once again, and my son is right. We must deal with the peaceless. Today, he and Estrid will head out to find those that remain and end the threat before they can strike again. I'd like you to join them. Well, we don't want to say no, do we? Well, we can say I plan to head south. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Actually, I'd planned to head south as soon as I could to be in Nostria before the snows set in. I've turned posh. There is nothing else to stop them attacking you again when you leave here. And we've already saved your life once on the journey, Outlander. That's true. Raskir. Estrid rubs her eyes in frustration at Raskir's candour, but then quickly looks at you apologetically. Your help would be appreciated, Outlander, but it is not owed. You are our guest here. She shoots an annoyed look at her brother, who sits back in his chair and drinks and eats quietly. With the room falling quiet again, you can't help but notice the small niggling feeling in the back of your mind. You can't place it, but it only adds to the uneasiness that's been building in your chest all throughout the morning. I am happy to pay you, Outlander, if that's what it takes, and you're welcome to stay here as a guest for a while, at least, if that suits you. Of the three of them, Ulfgar is the only one who seems patient to await your answer. Estrid is at least trying to mask her own uneasiness, glancing up at you between small pickings of her food. Raskir, though, makes no effort to hide the fact that he's on edge, staring at you over his meal. I'll say something wrong. Something's wrong here. What aren't you telling me? In the same moment, Raskir rolls his eyes in frustration. Estrid sighs and rubs hers. The hetman quickly signals for them both to settle down, shifting in his seat and putting a careful hand on the table. The plot thickens. We aren't trying to deceive you, Outlander. There are things in motion that are beyond your control, Outlander. The stranger at the end of the table has been so quiet throughout the meal that you had forgotten he was there. Now, though, you look at him as he spits out a fishbone and glances across to you. And under his gaze, you feel the hair on the back of your neck stand on end. It is the will of the Runjas that you arrived here. If they had wished to keep you in Nostria, or anywhere in the south, they would not have brought you here. But here you are, so that you may aid us in this. The hetman did not wish for me to tell you. He thought you may doubt what the Runjas have revealed to us. One look back at the hetman tells you that he is feeling a measure of regret at the Godi's outburst. But again, he awaits your response. What should we say? What should we say? I'm here by my choice. What did they say? I'll say what did they say. I don't know who the Godis are. Or the Runjas even. What did the Runjas tell you exactly? That an unknown warrior would aid us in what is to come. Before you arrived, we did not understand what that meant. But then the peaceless chased you to our doorstep. The Runjas have revealed their will to us. I'm sorry that I wasn't more open with you until now. There's little more we can say now, Father. Either the Outlander will help us, or he won't. You're very conscious that all three of them now await your final answer. But as you sit in silent contemplation of his words, your eyes are drawn back across the room to the Godi. He has gone back to his own little world, chewing on some dried fish and staring off into some part of space. But you feel pressure building, left with little time to think about your decision. Especially as the hetman and his family have all now left their meals alone and are fully focused on you. Your mind teeters a little at the idea that your arrival in Eilifsel was preordained. The gods have never struck you as particularly forthcoming with their plans, if they ever had any. But there's that niggling sensation again, chewing at the back of your mind. Are we agreed, Outlander? You sit stunned for one more moment. Then you are overwhelmed, and without realising it, you nod, just once. Agreed. Agreed, hetman. I'll help where I can. Then your word is a pledge to me. There is no hint of his jovial nature now. He is grim and reserved as he nods. You should all prepare to leave as soon as possible. Good hunting. Right. So far, the writing is quite good. The narrative is quite good. I do like the artwork. It has been very much a choose your own adventure, lots of reading and a few clicking of choices. We're going to play a bit more. I'm probably going to play for about 30-45 minutes today. And I hope to unlock some elements of what else the game has in store, or it could just be this all the way through. As I say, I've not loaded the game before. I don't know, so we will find out. But yeah, let's click on this. Blessings of the Hunt. You meet with the Hetman's children, Estrid and Raskir, in order to prepare for the task ahead. So we'll click start and see what happens. Preparations do not take long. So again, we're here again with this. As I say, I don't know if there is any other gameplay to it other than this choice, but it's quite nice. You're told to bring as little as you can, for you'll move swiftly and sleep roughly, should the need arise. You're well practiced for such exercises, and soon you are armed, armoured, and once again underway. You shouldn't be nervous as you walk back out of the longhouse and through the town of Eilifsel. Nerves before this kind of skirmish were honed out of you years ago, but something about the words of the old man, the Godi, are toying with your mind. Thorwallers lean heavily on the will of their rungers. Over the years, you've heard many Thorwallers travelling further south talk about them very openly. Never has it affected you so personally. Is it really their will that you be here now? If so, why? Why not someone else? These questions grate on you, no matter how hard you fight to shake them off before you reach the palisade. Estrid and Raskir are waiting for you there. They both cut far more imposing figures, dressed and ready for a fight. They both acknowledge your arrival with a quiet nod as they glance over your equipment to gauge your readiness. We need more soldiers? Yeah, because there was quite a lot of them, wasn't there? Would it not be wise to bring more than just 3 people if we wish to be successful? Even if there are more peaceless skulking about, they will be no match for us, Outlander. We will be fortunate if we can even take part in the fight. If we can even all take part in the fight. He gives you a wide, confident and self-assured grin that makes Estrid roll her eyes and shake her head. Raskir is a little brash, Outlander. Your concern is appreciated, truly. Before we begin, we will ask Swafnir for a blessing. Will you join us? I don't know who Firun is, but we'll say I don't know your prayers. I don't know your prayers well enough to take part in something like this seriously. No matter, it is simple. You can listen to me and Estrid first, and that will be enough. Feel no pressure, Outlander, for this is tradition. It goes unnoticed by her brother, but you hear the very slight pause in her explanation. It is our duty to fulfill. For you, the offer is extended only if you wish for it. Though I'm sure the gods will welcome it. I'll say no, thank you. Because I've got to read more then. No, thank you. I'll wait for you to be ready. Estrid bows her head to respect your decision before moving to break the circle you have all formed in the street. As she passes by Raskir, you see her shoot a strange look at the back of his head, somewhere between annoyance and concern. Raskir, meanwhile, doesn't hide his slight disappointment with your decision, though he moves on quickly. They line up next to each other a few steps out of the way of the path out of town. You watch as they both lie their weapons down by their feet. Raskir first bows his head and raises his hand over his axe, with his palms facing towards the heavens. O Swafnir, brave conqueror, tireless hunter, watch over this axe and its bearer. He speaks with a ferocity you were not quite expecting, letting his voice carry far, with no hint of shame. In your name, and by your will, I go forth to fight. To build upon the honour of my forebears, to prepare for the final fight, to fulfil my destiny. It's only bandits. That is my goal. Grant me but a piece of your godly power, and let me prevail. With that, he snatches his axe back up, though he waits where he stands for Estrid to say her prayer too. She repeats the prayer almost word for word, changing only axe for sword and shield. That is when you steel yourself ready to set out on this venture. When the siblings look to you, you see a glower on Raskir's face of tremendous focus and drive. Estrid's expression is much harder to read, but she holds herself confidently as she double-checks the straps of her vambraces. You take the lead, Outlander. You take the lead, Outlander. Take us to where you were first attacked. We will pick up the trail from there. Okay, so that was chapter 2, I think. I don't know, the chapter's numbered? But this is the next chapter. It doesn't take long for you to reach the point where you remember ducking for cover. The cart lies abandoned in the middle of the road, its right rear wheel buckled in from where you kicked it, but there are no signs of the wares that were being carried. Just a handful of arrows strewn about, and light, confused footprints going this way and that about the place. They must have come back for the wares after they fled. At least that will make them easy to track. The three of you spend some time pacing the area, deducing which footprints are those you need. All of you are quiet as you work, focused or perhaps conscious of falling into the same trap again. But then you find them, heavy imprints of boots in the verge of the road heading north. As you'd come from the southeast, you know they aren't yours, but they are fresh, definitely less than a day old. Tell them or signal them. That's the same, isn't it? I'll signal them. On the off chance that you are not alone, you give a sharp whistle to get the siblings' attention. Ah, that's why. Clever. When they are both looking towards you, you indicate the direction the tracks lead in. Their faces fall when they see you pointing north, and they look around carefully as the close towards you. I guess that should be as they close towards you. Maybe a typo. That's very strange. They passed around Eilisfell to get here. They must have given it a wide berth. But there's nothing out there. A good day's march will already bring you to the foot of the Haldor Mountains. The perfect place to hide an encampment away from any towns and prying eyes. Let's say there could be more. That means there could be more of them at an encampment like that. They might just have been a small party. We don't know that for sure, Outlander. But we should find out. Come, we should get going. We are already hours behind. Estrid quickens the pace as you leave the road behind and start your way across the country. The way is easy, at least. They are not flat plains you cross at a light jog, but only gently sloping hills. However, you see the mountains creeping towards you from the north, and you know the way will get harder. You run at a steady pace, keeping your breathing controlled using years of training and experience. You run beside Raskir, who is heavier of foot and breath, even though he doesn't seem to struggle at all. In fact, with his great axe held tightly in one hand as he runs along, he seems very much at ease. As you run, he looks across at you and speaks with big gaps in which to breathe. You look as though you've done this before, Outlander. Are you an experienced tracker? I'll say you could say that. You could say that. When it becomes clear you'll say nothing more about it, he laughs and nods. Well, that's good for us, a tracker and a fighter. This will be easy. I wouldn't count on that if I were you. You continue on at that pace for a good few hours without event. Further and further north you go, even closer to those snow-capped mountains. Estrid makes it her job to keep an eye on the tracks, which don't relent. The outlaws, the peaceless, you follow, were not worried about being seen or covering their tracks, it seems. They were completely focused on their own goal, whatever that was, though Estrid says they were moving slower. The sun is at its peak when she stops your march at the top of a hill. Each climb is getting steadily harder, and all three of you are breathing deeply to recover while you can. Estrid, though, brings your attention to a forest at the foot of the mountains that you can now see quite clearly before you. It is still quite some distance away, but there is a settlement at the forest's edge. Even so far away, you can see smoke rising from it like a campfire to see for miles around. I'll say, do you think that's them? Do you think that's them? It must be. Their tracks still head north, and that is the only place between here and the Haldor Mountains. I thought Hjalvik had been abandoned decades ago. It was too far from the sea, too difficult to sustain. They must have run through the whole night to get there already. That really is perfect. I'll say we should be careful. We should approach carefully. If they are keeping watch, they might spot us on the hillsides. We've made good time, though. It's already midday. I think we can slow down. Not too much, though. Something's going on there, and I don't like it. Come and conserve your energy while you can. It's a grave silence that falls on you as you start forward again. It's different from before. You feel a tension again, and not just your own, but theirs as well. Time seems to slow down as you prepare yourself for whatever encounter is to come. Already you feel all your muscles tense and tighten, and you feel your senses just that little bit more on edge. It's as if your body knows more than you do that a difficult fight lies ahead of you. It must be mid-afternoon by the time you eventually arrive. As the earth starts to slope more steadily upwards underneath you, Estrid orders you to slow down again. Soon you are crawling through long grass, slowly and on your bellies, as to not draw any unwanted attention. After what seems like an eternity like this, through the blades and reeds around you, you see Hjalvik. At least you see parts of it. Where the long grass stops, a small dirt road cuts across you from west to east, leading off towards the mountains. Beyond that, you see the remains of a very small village built across the uneven land of the mountain's roots. A palisade blocks your view of most of the village, but you see some of the ruined rooftops. If it weren't for the 2 guards standing at the gateway, you'd say no one had lived here for a very, very long time. They're expecting trouble. Why else would they keep watch? It's 2 guards. We can take them. Oh, I'll say it's not just 2. It's not just 2 though. If we take them on, it'll alert the village, and then they might be on us in moments. The Outlander's right, Raskir. We can't just go charging in. We need to be smart about this. Bah! I'll say we need to think quickly. We need to think of something quickly. Any which way. Trying not to move the brush around you too much, you look across to Estrid, who is biting her lip in thought. Hold on, look, coming down the road. You crane your neck so that you can see whatever it is that Raskir has seen. From the west, another outlaw shoves a man down the path towards the abandoned village. The man is desperately trying to wrestle out of thick and tight rope bonds around his hands. Immediately after them, another pair follows, another outlaw, and another prisoner. This one is more subdued. Oh, I don't know. Say the bottom one. Time's up. What should we do? Enough of this. I'm going. Follow me or don't. Before he moves so much as an inch, Estrid lunges through the grass and snatches his arm tightly. Don't move. We can let these people suffer, Estrid. We can't let these people suffer, Estrid. There's no decision to be... They have 2 prisoners, which means they can kill one of them just to make a point. We have to be careful. We'll ask Estrid. We're not asking Raskir. What do you think we should do, Estrid? She takes another brief moment to collect her thoughts before she nods. We should double back and approach from the forest and try to sneak through the palisade from there. If we can do that, we can deal with any peaceless we come across quickly and quietly without raising an alarm. Then we can rescue the prisoners. We might even find a way to get them to safety before the fighting begins in earnest. You hear Raskir let out a disgusted snort. And what if they kill the prisoners before we make it all the way around to the forest? What if we're delayed or caught? Those people cannot be allowed to die. What would you do then? There's only silence for a moment while the young Thorwallian warrior actually thinks. But then you hear a growling sigh. If we cannot storm the gates, then we shall ask for an invitation into the village. What? They won't attack us on sight. If we approach from the road, they won't attack us on sight. Okay, I assume that's a typo because it's... yeah. We can use that to get close, attack the guards before they can call for help, and storm the village without losing time. Beside you, Estrid shakes her head and then taps it gently against the floor in frustration. You cannot be that much of a fool, brother. We are outnumbered. That kind of attack will get us all killed. The prisoners have already long been dragged out of view, and there are no more hints as to the peaceless' true number. You simply do not have enough time to give either plan proper thought. Whichever plan you choose, there'll be limited time to execute it. I think we're going to go with Estrid's plan. Raskir's plan sounds a little bit dangerous, so we'll go with Estrid's plan. But again, I think this is where maybe the replayability comes in, because I assume both of these lead to different outcomes. I don't know. A direct attack is too risky. We should go with Estrid's plan. Thank you, Outlander. You see her glance across to her brother with a tilt of her head that you recognise as a "so there." Fine. Let us hope that the gods understand your reasoning if this goes wrong, Estrid. More than anything, Raskir sounds disappointed, but Estrid has already moved on, snaking slowly backwards. Come on, both of you. There's no time to lose. It takes some time to back out of view of the guards and then double around to the forest west of Hjalvik. The telltale signs of autumn turning to winter are far clearer under the thick cover of the trees. A little snow has already come down from the mountains and the air is cool and crisp. Your breath billows out in front of you as you run down the long unused paths to make up for lost time. Estrid is focused on the task at hand, and Raskir seems more and more agitated the longer the journey takes. Eventually though, you come to the palisade again, this time on the northwestern side of the village. Estrid orders you to stop in the shadows of the stronger, taller trees, those that weren't cut away to make way for the palisade. You can see a gap in the tall fencing that the three of you could easily fit through. You just need to make sure it's safe. Estrid sneaks forward alone first, creeping over to peer through the gap in the palisade. After a few moments, she signals for you and Raskir to approach. You do your best not to disturb the stillness as you make your way through the brush. At the palisade, you try to gauge what might be on the other side, but the angle is too oblique. You hear some voices though, and Estrid raises a finger to her lips as she watches something you cannot see. When the voices die down, she nods and speaks in a breathless whisper. It doesn't look like they're on guard or patrol, at least not here. I can't see the prisoners though. We will sneak through and then split up and make our own ways through the village. If we don't find them before we get to the square, that's where we'll surprise the peaceless. You nod to show you understand and immediately turn your attention to the task in hand. You take another careful look and listen to make sure you don't run straight into the path of any peaceless. And then you push through the gap, shoulder first, noiselessly squeezing between the wooden uprights. Even before you are through, you start to take in your new surroundings as you sneak into Hjalvik. You take a moment to take stock of everything you can see and everything you can hear. Everywhere you look, there are old, dilapidated wooden houses and gardens overrun with wild flowers. Broken, cobbled stone paths lead away deeper into the village, and the air stinks of rotting wood. Where it was quiet before, now you hear voices on the gentle wind, though you cannot see their source. And all of a sudden, the tension feels so much more than it did before. As quickly and quietly and carefully as you can, you draw your sword and hold it at the ready. Behind you, Estrid and Raskir creep into the village too, staying quiet as they carefully look around. They quickly disappear around corners you can't follow, and your attention turns to the matter at hand. You must get to the village square unseen. Oh, another voice. Priest, gather round, I shall now speak. You aren't sure exactly where the voice is coming from, except the direction of the square, but it makes you freeze. We've been busy of late, and there have been many sacrifices. Uh-oh, doesn't sound good. But good work has been done, and so shall it continue today. A roar of cheers rises up in response, which only serves to make you more nervous. Much closer to you, you hear the sound of a door opening and realise someone is leaving the hut you stand beside. Before you can be seen, you dash to the wall of the building, where crates and boxes lie long abandoned and empty. You skirt behind them as quietly as you can as an outlaw rounds the corner, walking down the path towards you. With bated breath, you wait and wonder for a moment whether your hastily chosen hiding spot will be seen. But the outlaw passes, and you swallow your nerves down as your focus gathers. It's only a matter of time before the other person rounds the same corner, and you need to be on your way. So we've got battle sense. Well, let's use battle sense. Why not? We've got it. It's an ability that allows Alric to pick up on things others might miss, allowing him to spot weaknesses in combat opponents and find hidden advantages in many situations. Yeah, I mean, we've got 18 of these things, so let's use 3 of them. With a deep breath, you ignore the ongoing speech and all the raucous cheers. Instead, you listen for any sound, any movement nearby that might tell you where the nearest outlaw is. It's the clink of their axe against their belt that you hear first, around the corner to your left. You have a window to sneak away unnoticed if you wish to use it. Let's sneak away. You duck out from your hiding place and dash around the corner to your right, keeping your steps light and quiet. It's a small, uneven street of broken steps you find yourself on, downhill and leading towards the square. Not stopping to look at what is going on there, you quickly dive into the gap between 2 ruined homes. There, you're safe to take stock of the situation again, unseen by the outlaw you've successfully avoided. In the square, the peaceless seem to be gathered around this mysterious speaker. To your horror, you see one of the prisoners being dragged up next to the speaker by an outlaw with a dagger. Your people abandoned you. They call you peaceless. They say you will never have honour before the gods. Well, I ask you, my friends, what will their honour be worth when all of their gods are dead? There's another chorus of cheers from the crowd, and you see the prisoner sob and bow his head. You need to get closer, but between you and what looks more and more like a sacrifice is another outlaw. She stands by the wall of a... She? Is that a she? Okay. She stands by the wall of a house across the stepped path, watching the ceremony with folded arms. There simply isn't time to sneak around her. You will have to fight through her to continue on your way. Okay, we'll do that. We'll use the powerful blow. In an instant, your mind is made up, and you are racing towards with your sword held high. Bash. She doesn't see you coming, and you crash into her at full force, knocking her through the wall's rotting wooden logs. The entire wall splinters open and collapses around you both. While you're quick to recover your head, she is almost immediately knocked unconscious by the collapsing logs. As you pick yourself up with a groan, the ceiling supports creak and begin to fail as well. What was that? Too late do you realise that the preaching in the square has stopped. To arms, my kin! We are not alone! The square erupts into chaos as the peaceless grab for their weapons. Your chance to surprise them is spent, but at least their plans for the prisoners, whatever they are, have been stopped. To honour! To glory! You hear Raskir's battle cry even over the din in the square, and you prepare yourself to enter the fray. There's a small army between you and the siblings. The fight has only just begun. You're very quickly surrounded. That's not good. Even with all your training experience, there is no way you can take them all on alone. You fight your way through to Estrid and Raskir, dealing only with the problems that lie between you. A block here, a parry there. The first outlaw to truly block your path is quickly felled with a savage swipe at his legs, sending him barreling to the floor. Straight away you find yourself face to face with another, wielding an axe in each hand. Let's use another powerful blow, because we've got some points left. Before he has the chance to swing either weapon, you charge forward and strike downwards with your sword. The warrior is forced to block your strike, only for your sword to slice straight through an axe handle, cutting him across the face. Take that. You have enough time to watch him sink to the floor before the next warrior is upon you. She uses a shield to strike you hard in the chest, winding you as you hit the floor hard. With that, she raises the shield high above her head and prepares to strike the killing blow. Let's counter. As it plummets towards you, you catch the strike and throw it away, hitting the warrior with the pommel of your sword. She staggers backwards, which gives you enough room to push yourself up before she strikes at you again. You parry that too, knocking her sword from her hand to leave her defenceless against your next strike. That's when you catch your breath. A number of the peaceless already lie dead, but many more are swarming over Estrid and Raskir. And then they're on top of you as well, and you're forced to block and counter another swinging axe. Between strikes, it's difficult to gauge how much longer you'll need if you can last at all. As you cast your eyes over the battlefield, you catch sight of yet another warrior coming towards you. Big and burly is this fighter. He's another to wield a vicious weapon in both hands. With a snarl and an angry cry, he starts to sprint towards you, already preparing to strike with a terrible blow. Let's sidestep. As he brings the axe forward again with a howl, you duck and step out his way, causing him to overreach. As he tumbles over, you strike him in the back of the legs with your sword. He cries out, but quickly gets back to his feet, readjusting his grip on the axe as he limps around to face you. As your eyes meet, you spin your sword back around to be ready once again. Let's do a flurry of blows. You launch into a flurry of quick and precise blows that aim to throw the warrior off guard. That works, and he's forced to catch the strikes awkwardly with his axe, allowing you to press him back unrelentingly. His limp makes it easy for you to wrong-foot him, keeping your attack short and sharp and on his weak side. As he tries to force you away with a punch of the axe handle, you duck underneath him and strike upwards. Your slice catches him in his stronger arm, and he cries out in pain. Pain quickly turns to anger as he lashes out, trying to find a way back into the fight. Back and forth you go, trying to find an opening against this relentless foe, but you are starting to gain a palpable edge as the injuries you've already inflicted start to catch up with him. He must sense this too, as he turns to another means to regain his advantage when you drive him back once again. He grabs at an outlaw who is busy fighting Raskir and hurls her towards you to catch you off guard. She tumbles towards you quickly, and you have to dart out of her way so that she doesn't crash into you. Your opponent has bought himself some time, but you still hold a significant advantage. With a desperate swing of his axe that you can easily block, he finally gives you an opening to make the final blow. Well, I don't want to use the forceful blow, because that's my last remaining 5 points. We'll just do takedown. With his axe locked behind you and your sword, you step forward to sweep his legs out from under him. As you grapple and he tumbles over, his axe cuts you across the back. Oh no, took a wound. But you bear it, twisting your sword around and driving it through his chest as you collapse on top of him. With one last groan, he finally falls silent, and you are able to catch your breath. You're not entirely sure how you're still alive, but you know that you are. You have a brief moment to look around as the nearest outlaws look at you cautiously before re-engaging. Nearby, the Hetman's children are still fighting away. Estrid is struggling, trying to fight off one warrior. You see her kick violently at the first, only to be lifted into the air as the warrior catches her foot. She manages to free herself by twisting around like an agitated cat, stabbing the second warrior in the collar. Meanwhile, Raskir howls and cries as he whirls his axe around in wild and unintelligible screams. All it seems to do is drive the crowd of outlaws around him back, but they quickly close in again. The three of you are being boxed in together not far from where the speaker originally preached. Their numbers advantage is beginning to dwindle now, with many of the peaceless lying either dead or too injured to fight. But they still hold a numbers advantage, and you'll have to work together to stop yourselves from being surrounded. We will fight methodically. That sounds sensible, doesn't it? With a short, sharp breath, you walk towards the back of the group that stands between you and the siblings. When you're within reach of the first, you grab her by the shoulder, taking her by surprise. We'll do the forceful blow. That's the last of my energy used. Without hesitation, you put all of your strength into a quick, sweeping blow of your sword. The warrior tries desperately to bring her axe up in time, but it only catches your sword on its edge. Your stronger strike glances straight off it, slicing at her so that she falls to the ground, clutching her face. That gets the attention of the rest of the group and gives Estrid and Raskir the opportunity to strike from behind. Have you seen the prisoners, Outlander? Estrid shouts at you while she fends off one of the remaining peaceless with her shield. No! There's nothing we can do now, Estrid, except keep fighting. One of the warriors tries to wrestle Raskir's axe from his grasp, but with a growl, he headbutts them away again. Raskir doesn't look like he's got a shield. Oh, Raskir's axe. Where did I see you? We're almost through. You're about to scold him for daring to say something so stupid when out of nowhere you feel your heart sink. It only lasts the briefest of moments, but it's so intense and so crushing that you are left stunned by its arrival. All three of you freeze and find yourself breathing hard as the fighting comes to a sudden stop. And as you swallow uncomfortably, your eyes are drawn to the speaker, who stands on the other side of the square. He holds up a trinket that fits in his outstretched hand, which he has thrust towards you like a weapon. On it you see lines etched into the metal like some archaic and mysterious symbol. It is one and the same symbol painted on every shield you can see, and some freshly inked tattoos as well. As your eyes lock with it, you are filled with a strange and nervous tension that fills you with discomfort. Your first instinct is to run, to keep it out of view, to do anything that will shake that discomfort for you. The speaker must see it in your face, in all of your faces. He chuckles and starts to step behind the crowd of peaceless that now regroup between you. You shall not know peace! Kill them! With a cry, the peaceless come at you again, and you have to move quickly to stop them killing you on the spot. If we can stop the sorcerer, then we can put an end to this. Very well, with me then! Raskir gives a furious cry and swings his axe in both hands, almost full circle around himself. The remaining peaceless dive backwards out of Raskir's way, staying between you and your new target. But if there is magic at work here, then you must know you must strike before it clouds your mind once more. You have to get past these warriors somehow, before the sorcerer can distract you again. Unfortunately, we've lost our points, so we'll just say fight through. With magic in the air, you think it's best to conserve your energy for the real threat. And so the three of you start fighting through the remaining peaceless together, trying to stick together. As you whittle them down, it's hard to avoid nicks and bruises from their counterattacks. We're down to 14 health. But between the three of you, you're able to defeat the ever-shrinking force until they've either fled or died at your feet. As his defensive line fails, the sorcerer's face falls and becomes a mix of worry and anger. But now you're face to face and able to put an end to this mastermind's schemes. Well, again, can't do the forceful blow. Your first instinct is to strike him down where he stands, but the power he displayed still plays on your mind. He does not look much of a threat, but you don't know what he's capable of, and you feel the need to tread carefully. So you raise your sword into a defensive stance and walk slowly towards him. But he sees this and grins and thrusts the amulet towards you once again. No peace! Again, your eyes lock with the pendant and you fall to your knees as your heart drops suddenly. You're overwhelmed, brought low by the most uncomfortable feeling that something is just not quite right. And so you barely pay attention to Raskir leaping past you to attack the sorcerer as regret takes you. Why do you feel regret? Guilt even? Then, just like that, your mind is clear again and you shake it as you try to remember what is going on. Outlander! Estrid, we have to strike together. That power, it's too strong. She helps pull you back to your feet as the sorcerer pulls a sword from his belt to slash Raskier across her face. Together it is then. Now! We'll do flurry of blows, I think. You try to catch the sorcerer off guard by twisting your sword this way and that with blow after blow. He's soon straining to catch each of your strikes, pressed backwards as you outclass him in swordplay. Crucially, Estrid makes use of the distraction, moving around you to trip him up with her shield. He's quick to scurry away, trying to stand so that he doesn't trip over the stairs, but he doesn't have enough time to stop you pressing your attack. We'll buy time for Raskier, I think. As Estrid continues the assault, you look around to see what has become of Raskier. Blood is streaking down his face, but he's back on his feet and he's coming towards you with his teeth bared. You'll only need a few moments before he can join you, and then your advantage will be even greater. And so you rejoin Estrid, keeping the sorcerer distracted until her brother can arrive. The sorcerer glances up at all of you, staring down at him and expecting a surrender. And he grins and laughs. It's not the first time you've experienced such a reaction, and you even find yourself rolling your eyes. He cackles as he stretches a hand out towards you. By the time you think about raising your sword to stop him, it's already too late. He's spoken an incantation of some kind, and he's back to howling with laughter. And once again, you feel that strange aching pain in your chest, and it pulls your focus away from the task at hand. What are you even doing here? Who are these strangers in this strange land? Did the siblings know this might happen? Why did they not warn you? Can they be trusted? How were these simple outlaws able to push you so far for so long? What does that say about you? It just all makes you feel so contrite. Some part of your mind recognises that you must break free of whatever spell this sorcerer has put you under. You shake your head as you try to find something, anything to cling to return to reality. Also trust in your experience. You must have seen magic like this before. You know you must have. You have decades of experience to fall back on. You've been working as a mercenary for such a long time. And before that, a soldier. In fact, you barely remember a time when you weren't fighting something or someone. It really has been such a long time. Might these things have been better if you hadn't been so hasty? You're so lost in your train of thought that you barely register your knees hitting the ground. It's almost as if you're watching a play as you see Raskier shake his head and look at Estrid and then at you. A part of your mind still fights with all its strength to be free of the spell, but your body simply won't comply. The sorcerer says something, but his words are muffled and drowned in some invisible dreamlike lake. That is until Raskier drives his axe through the man's head and you're released from the spell. Nice. With a long inwards breath, you collapse forward onto your hands, gasping for air. Once and then twice you shake your head, still breathing heavily as you push yourself back up. With that, quiet once again falls on the small, abandoned village of Hjalvik. The strain of it hits you immediately, and you take long, deep breaths as your head spins. The battle is finally over. You're not afraid to admit that you're relieved. Oh, I got an achievement. You set your sword down for a few moments, looking up at the sky as you take stock of events. It was a much harder fight than you were expecting. You can already feel the injuries start to creep up on you. You're getting too old for things like this. Are you all right? I'm fine, Estrid. It's just another scratch. It's not a scratch. Here, let me. I said I'm fine. You're brought back to reality by their bickering, and look up to see them both looking angry and upset. Raskier quickly stretches his arms out towards you and laughs as he sees you looking at them. Thank you for your help today, Outlander. This was much easier with your help. He must see something in your expression as he quickly changes back to a scowl. Are you all right? The sorcerer. He got in my head, that's all. Yes, he was very powerful. Whatever power that was, it was nothing good. As Estrid paces around, she finds herself standing in front of one of the Peaceless's fallen shields. She uses a foot to kick it over, and then takes a long, hard look at the symbol painted on its front. I don't know this writing. At first I thought it might be a symbol, but if it is, then it is not any of our gods. Something foul was at work here. He never mentioned any names. All of you turn towards the voice, once again on guard at the first sign of a new threat. You immediately recognise one of the prisoners, creeping through the door of a nearby ruined house. At the sight of the siblings' weapons, she immediately puts up her hands though, as they're bound together by thick ropes. The second prisoner appears behind her a moment later, looking around nervously. The first indicates that Sorcerer's body with a nervous pointing finger. Before you arrived, he never said who or what they follow, and neither did any of the soldiers who captured us. He just kept complaining about the way the peaceless are treated. Never mind that. Estrid hurries over to untie the bonds around her hands. Are you both all right? Fine, I think. A few scrapes and bruises, but we'll recover, I think. When she's free, she nervously looks around at you while Raskir unties the other prisoner. I'm sorry to you both for this whole ordeal. They both nod, but both seem still shaken and afraid as they rub their wrists. We'll say, when were you captured? When were you captured? How long have they held you prisoner? I think it's been 2 nights. They kept us blindfolded in the forest over there, so I'm not sure. It feels like much longer. We've barely eaten, barely slept. Where are you from? Varnheim. We came south to trade in Eilesfell. I understand. That's enough for now. You can return to Eilesfell with us. From there, we'll make sure you return home safely. Slowly, they both nod their understanding. Estrid shepherds them towards the village's gateway and tells them to warn her if there's any sign of trouble. When she returns, she glances again at the shield she kicked over and then takes another long glance about the place. We can't just leave it like this. What of the injured? Some of the peaceless are injured, not dead. What should we do with them? Estrid takes a long look around at those peaceless who lie unconscious or groaning as they nurse serious wounds. Raskir stalks one that is trying to crawl away down the stairs and then puts his boot on the man's back to stop him. Their lives were forfeit even before they aligned themselves to whatever darkness this is. We must execute them. I'll say do what you must. I hope you'll understand that it is beyond the scope of my contract. You take up your sword, wipe it down with your sleeve and sheathe it as though you bow your head to Raskir. But you do what you must. No, wait a minute. Perhaps we should keep one alive. Raskir rounds on his sister angrily, but she pushes him away and signals for him to calm down. All of this is strange. The peaceless gathering on the mainland like this, the symbol, the sorcerer, the ceremony. It's all wrong, but we should try to understand it in case we need to know for the future. What do we possibly need to know that we don't already? They were exiled and have returned, and they have accepted the path of this sorcerer who speaks against the gods. Father would banish us both if we dragged them through his hall when we had the chance to end them here. And what if this is leading to something else? Would you simply have us fight it blindly? A prisoner can tell us if there are other places like this, other people doing things like this. We'll say Estrid is right. Estrid is right, Raskir. We should take at least one prisoner, just in case. If all of this is so strange, you must take some precautions. It is the right thing to do. Estrid smiles a very small, very relieved smile before she turns back to her brother to see if he understands. Father will understand, Raskir. If we don't try, we may not see something even more dangerous coming. Raskir fumes at you both for a long moment before he snarls and waves a despairing hand in your direction. On your heads be it. I will have no part in this. Estrid collects the rope she untied from the peaceless's own prisoners. She uses it to bind one of the surviving warrior's hands and gag him. Then she looks back to the two of you with further instructions. Let's get this done. We will already be arriving back at Eilesfell after nightfall. Your work brings you easily into the late afternoon. Raskir takes no issue in ending the suffering of those peaceless who survived the battle. Those who try to flee are met with an even angrier end. And then you are faced with a pile of corpses that Estrid bitterly sets aflame. It's been some time since you last smelt that very singular smell, and your lip curls as you inhale the smoke. When the fire is blazing, anything bearing the same strange lines as the sorcerer bore is tossed into the flames as well. It makes the smoke even more acrid, and the three of you take no pleasure in staying much longer. You find some remnants of the supplies you were supposed to bring to Eilesfell, but they're dwindling and very little remains to be salvaged. Finally, you find the pendant that the sorcerer thrust at you during the fight. Once again, as you gaze at it, you feel a great discomfort that is difficult to shake, and yet you simply cannot look away. The lines and shape have a strange magnetism about them. It's only interrupted when you see Estrid and Raskir walking over to you from the bonfire. I'll say that one. It almost seems mystical now that I have had proper time to look at it. Over your shoulder, both the siblings observe it for a moment too, but you quickly hear Estrid sigh. I've never seen such a thing, and I do not like it. Are you sure that we should not take this back to Eilisfell for Brand to examine it properly? Absolutely not. Before you can stop him, Raskir rips the medallion from your hand and tosses it into the raging fire. A flame licks out to swallow up the medallion, and then it is gone from sight, never to trouble anyone again. Estrid continues to look at the fire as Raskir starts to make his way down the steps towards the gate. She's quiet and contemplative, slowly turning to look at you and speaking under her breath. We should be glad we stopped whatever it was they were trying to achieve today, Outlander. Come, the Hetman will be expecting us. It must already be the next morning when you finally trudge into the Hetman's Hall. I thought there would have been a chapter end at this point, because I'm going to wrap things up soon. I'd like to do it when we get to the next chapter, and I don't know when that's going to be. The journey back to Eilisfell was much slower than the journey to Hjalvik. You're tired and hungry, and you are still left with an uneasiness that you spent the hour's long walk trying to shake. All in all, after 2 consecutive nights of exhaustion, you are looking forward to a good night's sleep. The Hetman is sat at the table, chatting quietly to one of his warriors when your small band approaches. I think that's probably a good time to wrap this up, because I need to be disappearing and getting some food. So, that's it. That's a first look at the game. Now, as I say, I went into this game not really knowing what to expect. It was described to me as a narrative-based game, and it is very much that. In fact, it is only that. There is nothing else to the game, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing. The artwork is very nice. The story's quite nice. I don't know what the differences are if you choose different options to see whether different stories might happen, or it always ends up leading to the same place. I don't know. If you've played this game yourself, then let me know. Leave me a comment. But this video has given you a good idea of what the game is about. So, as I mentioned at the start, this isn't a sponsored video. I've not been paid anything to produce this. I got sent a key for it, and I wanted to just produce some content on it just to see what it was like, and hopefully help you make a purchasing decision. If it's the kind of game you like and you decide to buy it, then just let me know. I'm curious. Yeah, let me know what you think. But other than that, we're going to wrap things up now. So, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much to all of my Patreon supporters that fund the channel. If you like the content that I create and you want to support the channel, you can do so at patreon.com/gamingrules. But for now, I'm going to disappear. I will be back later in the week with some more stuff. So, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you soon.